Everything we've been told about the Knave was not about this Knave. It was about this one. Let me explain. Arlecchino is making her debut in 4.6, and she's been given an entire animated short and a character teaser. However, these paint a very different picture about Arlecchino than what we've been led to believe. In the animated short, it's revealed that the House of Hearth is a sort of trial on top of being an organization. The orphans that make up the house compete against each other and ultimately the knave to prove themselves worthy of taking over the house. Arlecchino was one such orphan, and this is how she became the current knave. This short gives her a very sympathetic backstory. She's an orphan put into a cruel situation, and while it's debatable whether her friend killed herself or Arlecchino did it, Arlecchino lost someone valuable to her. It also shows that Arlecchino is nothing like the past knave. This is important for later. In the animated teaser, she avenges the death of one of the house's members. Sure, she benefits from this by taking the stolen riches of the perpetrator, but she also kills him and comforts the woman and closes her eyes when she finally passes. There's little reason for her to do this outside of compassion. This is even more confusing when taking into account what Child and Wanderer have to say about her.
But I don't like her at all. If she stood to benefit from betraying others, she'd turn against the Tsaritsa in a heartbeat.
This makes her sound like she's selfish. She does things for her own gain. But then why would she comfort a dying woman behind closed doors? There would be zero consequences had she not done this.
A wolf in sheep's clothing. To exert a higher level of control over people, she puts on a graceful and cordial front. Most of those who have seen her true crazy self have gone poof.
But she's outwardly aggressive at times, especially when she was interrogating Farina about her plans to combat the prophecy. Even when she's interacting with the traveler, she hardly comes across as a sheep. She also seems to genuinely care about those around her, not just in the teaser, but Linny, Lynette, and Fremine. But you know who does fit those descriptions? The previous knave. A woman who would betray anyone, even the Tsaritsa, just because she stood to gain from it? While we don't know their exact ages, the previous knave had to raise these orphans for at least a few years, and presumably all of them are dead except for Arlecchino. She couldn't have cared less for any sort of bond she formed with them. And a wolf in sheep's clothing who puts on a graceful and cordial front to exert control over people, and whoever has seen her true crazy self has gone poof? It fits her perfectly. Why are Child's and Wanderer's lines in present tense when the old knave isn't around anymore? Well, for the Wanderer, he was there for Arlecchino's inauguration, so he knew the knave before she died. But Child? Before I continue, keep in mind that this is all mostly speculation on my part. However, I don't think the inconsistencies in what we've heard about Arlecchino and who she actually is can be ignored. I believe that MiHoYo reflected on the disappointment over Signora not being playable and decided to change the direction of Arlecchino so that there would be a good reason for her to be playable. This checks out because her first real appearance is in A Winter Night's Lazo. Considering that this is the first sign that Arlecchino isn't as insane as Child says she is because she's empathetic of Signora during the funeral, and that an animated teaser like this isn't made overnight, they likely had the idea for this Arlecchino sometime between 2.2 and 2.6. Signora was killed in 2.1, so that was more than enough time for them to reflect on feedback about her. They couldn't just delete the child voice line, so they just made a character that it could apply to. This is a bit disappointing. It's not only a plot hole and a retcon, but as many people, including myself, were sold on the character we thought she'd be, which just turned out to be the old knave, who's already dead. Thank you for watching.